Hey everyone, I'm not going to be doing any fishing today in this video. Today I'm going to be going over my Lowrance Eagle Eye 9 ice fishing setup. I just want to start off by saying I didn't come up with all of this by myself. I actually had a bunch of friends that gave me ideas and inspiration and helped me out with getting all this ready. So I want to give a big shout out thanks to all you guys know who you are. Yeah, and this here, start off, I guess, is my kitty cat Riot. You know, she doesn't come with fishing with me, but I'm sure she wishes she does. She's probably wondering what the heck I'm doing, sitting in my basement talking to myself. But yeah, onto the fish finder. So I guess I'll start off by talking a little bit about the little carrying case that I got here. I actually gained some inspiration from another fish finder I have. I have a little Garmin ice fishing bundle. It's kind of similar. It's got a base, it's got a couple side things just like this, and a little handle to hold on to. So I kind of use that as inspiration. But what this is actually made out of, the base here, it's just plywood. It's about 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch thick plywood. Don't really remember off the top of my head. There's a base with rounded corners, measured to fit the measured to fit this plastic mount that the Eagle Eye 9 came with. For the sides, I also have thinner pieces of plywood that me and my buddy measured and cut to the right size. And as you can see, we just screwed it in to the base, and we also screwed in the handle at the top. So the handle is actually a part of an old boot rack. It was just a bunch of bars going across, and I guess you set your shoes on there. So we actually cut up one of the top bars to the right appropriate size, screwed them in on both sides, and it does a pretty good job at being a bit of a handle. Now looking down here, this little piece is actually supposed to be a battery holder. My buddy 3D printed it, the same guy with all the woodworking skills. He 3D printed it to fit the first battery I bought. This Dakota Lithium 12 volt 10 amp hour. Sit nicely in there, be a nice little carrying case for everything. However, so the way I picked this battery off the bat is I checked online for the specs for the Lowrance Eagle Eye 9. And according to my calculations, it should have lasted like 10 hours based on what it says was the maximum amount of power consumption. But after taking it out the first day on the ice, it only lasted 2 hours, maybe 2 hours and 10 minutes. So I'm assuming that the energy consumption that they put on the description for the unit is probably just for running the system without any apps like the transducer, the sonar, or anything going. So I actually upgraded to get one of these Airy, I suppose it's called, from Amazon. It says 12.8 volt 23.4 amp hour, but it's actually 30 amp hour. I'm not really sure how to describe that. My buddy told me how it works, but whatever. It actually works pretty good. I've had it out a couple times for about 8 hours, and it's lasted me the whole day, running just below half brightness on the screen, because I think that's what takes up the most of the energy. So if you are getting the Lowrance Eagle Eye 9, looking for like a good battery for it, this one's working pretty good for me so far. I guess, oh hello. I guess continuing to look at the power and the cabling. So the Lowrance Eagle Eye 9 does come with some elementary cables, enough cables, and a couple little small terminals. But you do need to do a lot of electrical work, I suppose, crimping on your own to get everything to work. So if you're planning on just buying the Lowrance Eagle Eye 9 and taking it right out of the box and being ready to use it with whatever battery, that's probably not going to be the case, because you got to do a whole lot of work yourself to get the wiring all good and ready to go. So if you were going to get the this Airy battery. They actually just came with the bolts in here. They didn't come with the terminals and the wires. I actually had a good buddy of mine who knows a lot about this stuff, so he hooked me up with some nice terminals and screwed them in along with the wiring and put these, I guess they're called pigtail connectors. So it all, you know, just connects in pretty nice and handy. So I'm gonna actually talk to my buddy who 3D printed this little case that I mounted here onto the base for the Dakota Lithium. I'm gonna get him to 3D print a little bit bigger one, probably a little bit taller to hold this one. So this will actually sit back here. The cabling will just come in here, right? I'll probably move it off to the side a little bit because the connections for the transducer and for the power are the back on this side. So I'll probably have it off to the side. Cables will just, power cables will hook in here and transducer cables out here. All right, moving off from the nice little carrying stand I got here to the pole. So I don't have anything fancy for the pole. This is actually a painter's pole. A buddy of mine, I think he was looking up online. He saw a lot of people doing this, and he did something similar for his setup. For I think he's got a Hummingbird Mega Live setup. But anyways, yeah, it's just a aluminum steel extension pole. I think it's 3'3" or 3'8" to 6'6" extension. Simple enough. Just rotate, pull it up, and it could, you know, lock into place, right? I guess a little bit of an issue right now, especially with only at the early start of the season, is only about 12 to 15 inches of ice. So if I'm sticking this down, I'm probably going to lose a foot or two underneath the ice for depth and everything, and that'll shorten the distance that the cone for the sonar will be able, the live sonar will be able to see, you know, left and right. Yeah, and then looking down here towards where the transducer mounts itself. So the Eagle Eye 9 that I purchased it, I put an order in the summer when they first announced it coming out. It was advertised for only having a mount for the trolling motor, so it's actually just a pipe clamp that they provided with a little mount like this that hooks onto this little spot right here. However, the way it's oriented, the pipe clamp was supposed to be orientated. It's supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be mounted on the trolling motor. And for ice fishing, you're putting pull down, it's the opposite way, right? So I had to come up with a different way to attach this to the pole, and can't use the pipe mount. So I actually looked online to find, and was shopping on Amazon, Temu, all sorts of places to get some of these parts. So some of the parts that came with, I'll put a description and probably where I got each of these parts in the video description down below. But this clamp that goes around the pole, it was its own thing that I bought. I think I got that one on Amazon. This little arm I got on Temu, and this actually little bolt that I have here to connect the transducer to this arm. It's like a 3.5, 4 inch bolt or whatever. It's just a screw in on one side and two nuts to tighten on the other side. In between these, it normally would be, if you were to look at these, there's like those little teeth, kind of look like this on this side. So I believe that is for when you're switching, and like some of the other ones on the market, that you can twist them to go forward to downward facing sonar. With the Eagle Eye 9, you don't have to tilt it from forward to down facing sonar. It actually just needs to sit still, and then it's just a setting on the unit itself. It allows you to change back and forth. So I didn't want this thing to be rotating freely on those teeth or anything like that. So I actually just put a larger washer in between the two pieces and tightened as much as I can, just to stop it from rotating freely like that and clicking in and out. Yeah, looking down to the other side of the pole, I actually have a little collar here that is supposed to be fitting around a 3/4 inch pole, so to speak. But I have it sitting on, this is probably, this wider diameter is 1 inch for this painter's pole, and the inner diameter is just a little bit smaller. But I tightened it enough so it sticks on here, it holds on here, and the purpose of that is so it doesn't slide down the hole. So now this is just a piece of fence board a buddy of mine put together. So we made it just big enough so that it can slide right in here, And this sits on the ice, transducers in the water, and doesn't sink all the way down to the bottom of the lake. So at the end here, this yellow bit here, it's actually just a little handle that I bought on Amazon. So if you're looking at the painter's pole, the handle I actually will be sitting at the bottom near the transducer, and the part, if you're using this as a painter's pole to like paint something on a wall, this is where you'd screw in the brush or the roller or anything or something like that. So I actually found this little handle, screws in a 3/4 inch, and it just acts as a little bit of a handle, so when you're rotating it, look on forward, or you know, looking around, something to grab onto. But yeah, that's the general gist of my Lowrance Eagle Eye 9 ice fishing setup. I'm still pretty new to it. I probably only used it for maybe 5 times out on the ice and haven't played around with everything as far as the settings on the unit itself. What I did find that the default settings for the live sonar, they had the contrast was about in the middle of their scale, however you want to call it. And and I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see my hook, and I was in like 15 feet of water. Couldn't see my hook, couldn't really see the ground, so I bumped that all the way up to like pretty much near the top of the bar, and then I could see everything quite clear. So that'll be something, if you end up getting this, you'll probably need to bump that contrast up quite a bit just to get it to work. The forward-facing sonar, I noticed that you have to really increase the noise rejection on it to high, you know, in order to see. Otherwise you get a whole bunch of, I don't know what I was looking at, dirt, bugs, something. But yeah, so I had to bump it up, and on the downwards I had been sitting at medium, and you don't see anything but your hook and the fish. So that's probably all I'm going to go through for the settings on the inside. I wasn't planning on turning it on here, just showing the setup. But yeah, if you have any questions, leave it down in the comment section below. I'll take the time to read through them all and answer any questions you have. And yeah, like I said, I'm still pretty new to using these sort of things. It's my first live sonar type device, so figuring out how to use it properly, how to catch fish, see how they're acting, how they behave. It's you know, it's probably the way of the future in terms of fish finders, so I'm excited to have it, and it works great so far. Yeah, and yeah, if you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll do my best to do my best to answer, and if I can't right away, I'll try to poke around and try to figure things out, try to get the answer to you in a good amount of time. Anyways, thanks for watching. I really appreciate the views, and I'll see you guys out on the water.